if it is done, Chris, whether it's early, late, or whatever, will Rangers be getting a good player on their hands?
Yeah, I think they will be. He was very impressive for Argyle this season. Just to put people in perspective, Argyle have had a fantastic season in League One. They've basically been top of the table since the end of September. They have got 61 points from 28 games this season. They have been holding off the challenges of Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich, who are two big, strong clubs. They've had a fantastic season. And one of the main reasons for that were the performances, the goals and assists of Morgan Whittaker. Without him, I think it's fair to say that Argyle wouldn't be in as strong a position as they are. Now, they're a good team, but Morgan Whittaker gave them that extra bit of creativity, that flair, that little bit of something extra that's allowed them to have such a good season and keep Barry Bannon's Sheffield Wednesday and a very strong Ipswich team behind them so far in the season. And losing him at the start of January, was far from ideal from Argyle, and they've had to try and adapt since then.
And of course, Derby County as well, his old club.
Yeah, they're closing in fast. They had a pretty dramatic 2-1 win at Port Vale on Tuesday night when they were 1-0 down going into the 87th minute, and they ended up winning that one 2-1. And so they're, I think, 7 or 8 points off the leading teams at the moment with a game in hand. So yes, Derby are moving in position as well. So I mean, it's three really big clubs in England and Plymouth Argyle all going for the top two spaces. It was Morgan played really well against Derby up there. He got a little bit of stick from the fans because he left them to go to Swansea. But very very talented player, and I'm sure a lot of Plymouth Argyle fans will be watching closely what happens to him between now and the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, for many, many years now, Rangers have had a problem on the right flank. They've had Ryan Kent on the left, and way back to Stephen Gerrard saying they've tried numerous players on the right side and they just haven't managed to crack it. Is that where he's been playing for Plymouth?
No, he has said a couple of times in the interviews we've done with him that he likes playing in what's called the number 10 position. So Argyle basically play a 3-4-2-1 formation. They have the main striker, who's often been Ryan Hardy, the former Rangers striker. I was going to ask about him later. Yep, he's doing brilliant, absolutely brilliant, doing really well for Argyle. Very popular down at the club. So he's often been the main striker. And then you've had two number 10s playing behind that main striker. And one of those has been Morgan Whittaker on the right. And then a guy called Finn Azaz, who they've had on loan from Aston Villa, on the left. They've been the main two. And Morgan said on more than one occasion, he loves playing in that position. That's the position he would like to play in. If you gave him where would you like to play most, that's where he would like to play. And I think one of the reasons he did so well at Argyle was because he played in that role. He could float around a bit. He could find pockets of space. Yes, he can pull out into wide positions, but he also had the option to cut inside onto his left foot. And so could he play wide on the right? Yes, he probably could. Could he play as a second striker, not as the main one, but as a second striker? Yes, he could. But I think he, in his own mind, if he could play in a number 10 role, centrally behind a striker, that's where he would feel most comfortable.
Can I just come in here? Obviously, playing down in Plymouth, playing in England, he's going to experience playing at big grounds and pressurised environments. But there's nowhere quite like Glasgow when it comes to the pressurised environment and the goldfish bowl that we have up here. How do you think, as a character, he'll handle coming up to playing for one of the two big old firm clubs and just everything that comes, going out in the town, going out for a bite to eat and having fans of both sides sort of coming up and pest him? As a character, how will he deal with that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be the acid test, isn't it, Andy? Of any player joining one of the old firm, really, isn't it? How can you cope with the intense spotlight that you get? I mean, Plymouth is a one-club city. It's 300,000 people near enough. And he became very well known because he was doing so well at Argyle. So he had a little bit of an insight into terms of when he was out and about in Plymouth, he would have been instantly recognised and would have had a little bit of dealing with that, but obviously not on the same scale that he would have if he went to Rangers. As a character, he's quite quiet. I wouldn't have said he's particularly outgoing. He was polite to talk to at interviews, but the impression I got is that he would be quite quiet and not shy, but would let his football do the talking for him. He's played at Derby County, who are a big club. Playing for Argyle this season, we had crowds of 27,000 at Derby, and things like that. So I think he's played in the Championship, although not too much for Swansea. So he has had a taste and experience of being at decent sized clubs. Derby are a massive club in England. Although they're in League One at the moment, he will be well aware of what it's like to play for a big club. He's had a lot of attention, media wise and what have you, while he was at Argyle because he was doing so well. But I don't think you ever really know, Andy, until you get them up to Rangers and then you put them in that environment and then can they cope? He's a nice guy. He's a very talented player. I think he ticks lots of boxes, but how would he cope with the goldfish bowl that is Glasgow football? I couldn't honestly tell you.